It's 2024 and I'm back to playing the original Star Wars, Battlefront games. Like many others, I have some fond memories of the original Battlefront games. My older brother and I would spend many early mornings and late nights huddled around a CRT TV, playing Battlefront 1 and 2 in the dark on a PlayStation 2, screaming with excitement. This year, Aspyr has brought back these two classic games and is making them available to a newer audience with the Star Wars, Battlefront Classic Collection. Going back to these games nowadays is like time traveling back to a simpler time. For those who wish to revisit these old memories, the games have been preserved just like you remember. But for those who have never played these games, or are more used to modern, conventional shooters, these games are a bit of an oddity. Either way, Star Wars, Battlefront Classic Collection is worth checking out, as a fan of the series, and as a historical artifact. Even though the games are 20 years old now, they feel older than that. I haven't played them since they first came out, but jumping back into them today, especially the first one, can take some getting used to. For starters, the controls aren't the typical controls of modern shooters. There isn't an updated, standard control setting that applies to both games. The first game's standard controls have a fair amount of aim assist and sticky reticles. The hit detection can be way off, with some force abilities or lightsaber hits feeling like they should be connecting but aren't. And some game modes last way longer than your typical Halo or Call of Duty matches, which are much snappier. But really, that should be expected with games of this era. At the time, Call of Duty hadn't become the big, influential shooter juggernaut that it is today. And multiplayer shooters like Halo and Battlefield were still finding their footing, discovering what kind of styles and gameplay mechanics their audiences enjoyed the most. Battlefront is in this same boat, with the developers still figuring out what made a fun competitive shooter. In actuality, the best part about these games is the amount of features. Both Battlefront games, especially Battlefront II, have a lot of single-player content that is still fairly impressive. The most notable feature is Galactic Conquest, but consider as well that Battlefront II, which only came out a year after the original Battlefront, was able to add heroes versus villains, space battles, and refine the shooting mechanics, getting rid of stick reticles to make combat smoother. There's a lot packed in here. For those uninterested in playing online multiplayer, these games have a lot to offer in terms of single-player campaigns that can be fun to play and replay, whether on your own or with a friend.